It's time for Windows Weekly. Paul Thurrott and Mary Jo Foley are here. So are the Microsoft quarterly earnings. It was a very good Q3. All the details, Mary Jo and Paul will break it all down. You want to help Microsoft find a new font for the system? We'll talk about our preferences. And then we'll take some questions from the chat room and the Discord server. It's all coming up next on Windows Weekly.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Windows Weekly with Paul Thurrott and Mary Jo Foley. Episode 722, recorded Wednesday, April 28th, 2021. Everyone's drinking at home. Windows Weekly is brought to you by Audible. Audible is the leading provider of spoken word entertainment. Delve into your next title on Audible with Audible Plus. New members can try Audible Plus for 30 days. Download the Audible app and get started with a free trial at audible.com/windows or text Windows to 500-500. And by PlexTrack, the powerful yet simple security management platform that helps you get the real cybersecurity work done. With PlexTrack, you'll streamline your assessments, analytics, and reporting. Visit plextrack.com/twit to claim your free month. And by Veeam Backup and Replication V11. V11 has over 200 new features and enhancements in a 4-in-1 solution combining backups, replicas, and more under one reliable solution. Eliminate data loss and ransomware with Veeam Backup and Replication V11 with a free, unlimited 30-day trial. Just go to VEE.am/WW and find out why Veeam is simple, flexible, and reliable. It's time for Windows Weekly, the show where we cover the latest news from Microsoft, in this case from Samsung and others. Paul Thurrott is here from Thurrott.com. Mary Jo Foley from ZDNet.com. Hello, you two. You crazy kids. It's 78 degrees in New York City.
It is.
Yeah,
yes, it is.
Similar here as well.
Nice. Wow, it's warmer there than it is here. Although it's pretty pleasant here. It's not cold. I guess it's speaking of cold.
I know.
Turns out, I'm just going to throw this one out here in case it's not obvious.
You sound allergies are hitting you.
No, I actually have a cold. And this is what happens when you go out in the world with other people.
I know, right? After
sick.
all this time.
I literally haven't been sick for over a year and a half. And I
That's
visit some friends in Boston. Yeah. And like instant cold.
I guess that's
So
that's
if you're
the
wondering
deal.
how COVID spreads, that's how. But I'm vaccinated against that. So I
you get a cold
which
instead.
is good.
Yeah.
Unless you have a mild case of COVID, which sometimes...
No, it's definitely a cold.
Yeah, you can tell. Yeah, today's my day. Today's my 2 weeks. So I
Oh,
am.
it is? Nice.
Yeah, I'm going to go out and
Yay.
party down.
I thought I was going to sit at a bar the second that 2 week thing happened. And we went to the place we always go and I looked at the bar and I was like, not yet.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Could
just-
you
there's
even
just too
sit
many
at a
people.
bar? You can't.
Yeah.
Can you?
Yeah, we can.
You can.
Yeah, we can.
Oh, we can't.
Yep.
We cannot.
So New York is still a little gun shy.
I think we all know
You can
New
sit
York
at
trails the rest of the
tables.
country in many ways. I mean, let's just be honest.
Except when it came to COVID spread, we were
But
number
no, you
one.
guys were A1 on that note. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, boy.
I know. Well, I hope you feel better.
Yeah, I do too. Thank you.
Well, now I don't know what I'm going to do. Lisa and I are trying to decide if we should go to Hawaii in July. I think by July
Yeah,
it'll be
you should.
okay. We should, right?
You should.
Okay.
Hawaii.
Hawaii.
Wow.
I know. It's it's funny. You just really after sitting in it's been a year just not
It
going
feels
anywhere.
weird. I will
It
say.
feels a little weird.
It feels weird. Like even driving to Massachusetts, I was like, this doesn't feel right.
Yeah. And now you got a cold.
Now I get a cold and it really doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
No, but it got normal pretty quick,
Yeah. Yeah. No kidding. You got a cold immediately.
as you can hear. Yeah.
Keep wearing the mask. All right. Yesterday, Microsoft announced its Q3. It's their third quarter because their fiscal year's crazy.
Middle of the year to middle of the year.
Yeah.
And but I'm glad that they now do it on a Tuesday so that we have time on Wednesday to
Yes.
break it all down.
It works better for us. Thanks, Satya.
Thank you. Thank you, Satya.
I'm sure that's why they do it.
Actually, everybody's
Me too.
doing it today. I saw numbers from Google and Apple. Everybody.
Apples today,
Yeah.
right? I know. Yeah.
So that it is. It's nice for us. It gives us a little time to absorb. What's the top line? Good year, good quarter, right?
They're going to be okay for another quarter at least.
Yeah.
How much money did they make? What's the profit?
$42 billion.
That's revenue,
in
right?
revenues. Correct.
Yep.
Jeez. And that's
Net
growth.
income, $15.5 billion.
Nice. It's
For
nice
the
when you can
quarter.
make more than $1 billion a week in life.
Yeah.
Take home pay. That's nice.
Yeah. Right. By the way, those are
Jobs
huge
isn't it?
increases over last year. So
They are.
the net income is up 44% year over year.
Wow. That's great.
The pandemic is the best thing that's ever happened, baby.
I know, right?
Yeah, well, that's what of course it's a double-edged sword because that's why, of course, all of a sudden the EU and Congress and the Federal Trade Commission are all investigating big tech because they made so much money. I think it just
Well, Leo, not all of big tech. See, that's the fun part.
Not Microsoft.
For
Yeah.
once,
I know.
Microsoft is not part of the party, and they're a-okay with it.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We'll
The
watch.
second most valuable company in the world, and no one is paying
Yeah.
any attention.
We'll watch from a distance.
Yep. No, the number that I know we make fun of this number all the time, commercial cloud, because it's a fake number. Microsoft takes, Microsoft 365 plus Azure plus Dynamics 365, and they mush it all together into a big ball, and they call it
With little
commercial cloud.
Wart and Hive
Right.
Newt and
Exactly, to mix it up.
frankincense.
But
Put it in the cauldron.
But you know what? Okay, so the revenues for the entire company were 42 billion, and commercial cloud was like 18 billion. So it's almost half of what they're
Right.
doing in revenues now, which is unbelievable, right? That's unbelievable.
The other way, this is harder to compute, but you can look at the revenues from the various business units to kind of think about it a little bit. I mean, if you think about the parts of Microsoft that are entirely or partially cloud businesses, it's got to be closer to 75%, right? Revenue wise. I mean, it's incredible.
If you add everything, yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
Carmine in the chat room says the finance industry was going nuts that Azure growth was only 50%.
I know.
Only.
You know,
That's
so
the dumbest
after-
thing. Right?
After earnings yesterday, Microsoft stock went down, right? Even though they had like a spectacular quarter, amazing earnings. And I think it was Dina Bass who asked a couple analysts, like, why is the stock price going down? And they said, well, they beat expectations, but they didn't beat it as spectacularly as we thought they might.
They say.
How do you win? It's a no-win situation. Right?
Yeah. This is why generally on our shows, while we report on financial news, because there's some insight you can get into the other company,
Yeah.
not how a company's doing, but in what the company's doing. I often think that the way the market responds and all of this stuff is it's just not germane to whether the company's making
Right.
products people want.
That's right. Wall Street has never made sense to me.
Yeah.
I think, the pandemic year has skewed things for sure for lots of companies, not just Microsoft. But it is interesting. There are companies, and Slack falls into this category. Spotify actually kind of falls into this category, where you would have thought that they would have benefited greatly from the pandemic, and they kind of didn't. Whereas companies like Google had even higher revenues than Microsoft, or Microsoft, and I'm sure Apple, which we'll see soon, all very much did. I mean, no one is wishing for this, but like I was joking, this is the best thing that's ever happened. But I mean, for these companies, in many ways, it is kind of the best thing that's ever happened. Their services are so important to so many people, and this really kind of drove that home.
It's also, I think, okay, maybe you tell me if I'm nuts. PC industry did benefit from quarantine big time.
Oh my God, yeah.
But it shows that Microsoft is less dependent on Windows sales than they used to be. Is that fair?
For sure. That's correct.
Yeah, absolutely. I
So
mean,
cloud didn't benefit as much from COVID as PC sales did. And since Microsoft
actually, I think cloud did as well,
Did it?
because people
I do
working
too.
from home are hitting cloud services.
well, that's true. But Azure,
I think.
I mean, is that? I mean, I guess Dynamics,
Honestly,
yes, but not Azure, right?
Yeah, I think it
Yeah.
lifted all boats at most
I do
boats at
too.
Microsoft.
I do too.
And I think the thing you're kind of hinting at is something we've talked about a little bit in the past, where Microsoft has a very diverse product profile portfolio.
They do.
Google has advertising; it's 80% of the revenues. Apple has the iPhone, which is directly, I think, 60 something or 70% of their revenues. You know, Microsoft, they don't have the one product that's like that anymore. You know,
Right.
So that's
look, that was taken from them. You know, it's not like they wanted
here's
that.
the analogy I use for me in my head. If I had put every penny I own into Apple stock or Microsoft stock, I would have made more money than I did because I bet on the market as a whole.
Sure.
To balance out, you diversify, and that's so.
Yeah.
Diversification is good, but you might miss those sudden.
That's
bumps.
but that's not a sure thing. You know.
Yeah, but it's
not a
good in the
sure thing.
long run, right?
Yeah, I mean, right, because if you have everything in one bucket, if something happens, like chip shortages or things like that,
Exactly.
you know.
Exactly.
So yeah, I think Microsoft's hand was forced. I mean, when Google Docs came along, it was like, we got to put Office on the cloud. Okay, but it worked out for them, right? And ever since, they didn't look back, and they've just kept doing everything in the cloud since then, basically.
So
Yeah, the Azure number though is crazy, right? So they grew 50%.
yeah,
The growth is insane.
and Microsoft
It is.
stock is down
I
like
know.
by 2 or 3%.
I know.
By the way, off the top of your head, Mary Jo, when did Microsoft Azure launch, do you think?
Like 10 years ago. 10, 11
almost
years ago.
over 11 years ago now.
Yeah.
So that's why I just it's got to stop paying any attention to the stock market on this.
It's not a new product.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's not.
Yeah, that's part of it, right?
Right.
It's Microsoft's been doing well all along, so we're not going to buy up on the stock. But Google, which has been Google, which hasn't been doing good, did well. So we're going to buy that stock. Screw them.
I know.
Go buy GameStop and stay out of my life.
Probably would have done great with GameStop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you know what, and this is really good for Satya Nadella because he came in and doubled down. He put not all his chips, but he put a lot of the chips on Azure, and that's turned out quite well, right?
Yeah, he got to ride the wave. Like the wave had already kind of started before him, and then he comes in, and it's like, woo, yeah, you're going up.
Well, he would probably say, no, strategically, I knew that cloud was important, and this was a bet on. This was my strategy, and
Sure. Sure.
it's not a game. He's saying I see, and you know what? I can't disagree with him. No, I'm not surprised the cloud is up 50%. That's amazing.
No, I know. If you look at some of these giant contracts, right? They keep saying we're getting bigger Azure contracts and with fewer, it may not be more customers, but bigger contracts that last longer periods of time. That's like money in the bank, right? Because it means you're going to spread it out like that HoloLens contract they just got with the military.
Huge.
Right? It's going to last
bigger
forever.
than Jedi.
Yeah. Double the size of Jedi.
Yeah.
Right.
Those deals, boy, for a 10-year deal, that's.
I know. That's what you want.
That's what
the
you want.
Repeatability, the predictability. Right?
Literally money in the bank.
It's
Yeah,
I was trying not to say that's money in the bank, but it is.
though.
It is. That's exactly what it is. Windows 10 now on 1.3 billion devices. That's really cool. Apple just said
It
a
is.
billion iPhones, so that gives you some idea. I mean, that's amazing.
I know. Yeah, so the last number
and I
we
think
had was
that number-
1 billion, right?
Okay,
that
big
was
growth.
like last
That's
March.
That's
Early
30%
last
growth
year,
if my numbers are correct.
Yeah, and that has to be driven partially by the pandemic. I mean, just
For sure.
maybe people who would have held on to some aging computer decided they needed something better.
Well, and another good thing that it's Windows 10.
Right.
So that's, but from a point of view of developers, that's the flywheel. If you can get everybody using that, developers develop for it. People like the apps; they buy more.
Yep.
It's a good.
Well, we haven't
flywheel.
gotten that piece of it yet, Leo. But yes, theoretically,
Yeah.
if developers make the apps, people will get them.
Right.
We're still struggling with that.
I wish they would. No one has these numbers, I guess. I mean, analysts might guess at it, but I'd love to know the percentage of sales that's desktops versus laptops versus convertibles.
I feel like it's been, 2/3 laptops for a long time, and it's probably even bigger than that now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably 80%.
I just bought a big desktop PC, and I love it. But I know that that's an outlier. That's not.
Yeah, no, I love desktop computers. I have tried many times to rig a laptop thing with an external screen or it's some kind of a dock, and I just like turning something on and having it work.
I know.
Yeah, I don't know. I
When
can't
those
explain
fans power up, I just feel like I'm flying.
Right. Like the guy in the Memorex ad, my hair is blowing back. Sorry, I have an Intel computer. You know,
Oh man, I love it. I saw your story, Mary Jo Foley, on Teams.
Yeah.
That's a huge success too.
Yeah, I know. That number is really going crazy. So last October, they said they had 115 million daily active users on Teams. And yesterday, they said now we're up to 145 million daily active users.
Wow.
We haven't seen a number from Slack in a while, a year plus. So we can't really compare it to Slack. I don't know if we have the Zoom number for a comparable there. It's not
But
exactly
Teams and
comparable.
Zooms aren't. Yeah, they're not exactly.
They're not
comparable.
really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Slack is a better example. Yeah.
But yeah, this number is just crazy, right? How fast this is growing.
not Slack. Teams and Azure to me are very, very similar products because obviously both are platforms. Both have dozens of new apps, we'll call them, or services every month.
Yep.
I mean, new features, however you want to describe it. I don't know. I have a hard time myself keeping track of what's happening with Teams. I don't know how anyone could keep track of what's going on in Azure. You know,
I know.
There's just so much. And I think the two are very similar in that way.
I know. Yeah, it's like literally every day on Azure, there are new features. There's new like services being added
like
or a new feature for a new service. There are people who maintain newsletters and all kinds of product charts just to keep up with what's being added to Azure every week.
It's amazing.
So, yeah.
There's a portion of that post-earnings conference call that Microsoft always does where they, I don't remember if it was Nadella or Amy Hood, but one of them kind of, probably Nadella, but he kind of started listing, well, Azure this does this and Azure do this. He went through like 17 different Azure things,
but
services,
that's,
I guess we'll call them.
Honestly,
and it's
the cloud is like a PC. The cloud, it does it all. So, pretty soon we're going to stop counting those features because it's just
that's crazy.
It's a PC in the cloud, or it's a server. I mean, of course, it does everything. Anything you would do.
Yep.
It's like
anything you want is up there.
Yeah,
for
anything
sure.
you want to do, it does.
Yep.
Is Azure's Evil John in the Discord's wondering if Azure's close to AWS now?
So it's still considered by most people a distant number 2.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Right.
Yeah,
AWS is a juggernaut.
it is.
But watch out because 50% growth. Clearly Azure's coming down the pike.
Well, I mean, AWS isn't exactly standing still either.
Well, that's true.
No.
But yes,
that's a good point.
They're the Burger King, I think.
If
AWS
leaves the station at 4:05, traveling
exactly
60 miles
the algebra 101.
Yeah.
and Azure
leaves the station,
leaves 20 minutes later,
miles
traveling 70.
Yeah, how fast would you have to be driving to catch up with that car? As it turns out, infinite. Miles per hour.
Yeah, if it's accelerating, yeah.
Now, here's a number that helps put things in perspective. From the quarter, Microsoft spent $6 billion on the cloud infrastructure growth.
Spent.
Yeah, that's what they spent. Right.
Right.
And they said the next quarter, they're going to spend more. So that's just them building data centers, basically.
By the way, that's one area where they may surpass AWS by a fairly wide margin is their number of data centers. Although I understand they measure these things a little different.
There's a little wishy-washy number counting going on there. But they have a lot of data centers. And they're growing. They're saying they're adding like 10 brand new, I think, data center regions a year at this point.
So Evil John provides this number from CNBC. Azure's cloud division reporting 28% growth compared to the 50%
That's the intelligent
for
cloud,
Azure.
right?
Yeah.
That's intelligent cloud, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
so Azure
AWS,
is part of the broader business, right? So
It is.
there are different parts that grow at different rates.
There are. And the problem, like we bring up all the time, it's growing 50% on some number we don't know, right?
Yes,
So,
that's right.
Yep.
we don't know how
those
big
growth
Azure
numbers,
is.
Yeah. 50%
So a
of
little more
Asterix
math.
is
50% of 100 is still less than 28% of 1,000. So
Right. Exactly.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, like when
Yeah, but
they
you know
talk
what
about
didn't happen?
Microsoft.
Unless I missed
What?
it. Sorry.
Uh-oh.
What part of
No, I was gonna say when
Microsoft's
they-
business shrank?
Consumer on-premises products, I think, was the only
see?
part, right?
But that's
But
concomitant
that's
with
to
the
be
growth in the
expected,
cloud,
given where
right?
we are. And,
Yeah,
On-prem shrinks when cloud grows,
yeah.
especially consumer.
On-prem drools and cloud rules, I think is what we're trying to say.
Let me write that one down. That's a bumper sticker. So
Yeah.
Teams growth. Do you think does that mean that Teams is soon to be the dominant platform for this kind of inter-office communication?
I mean, in the Microsoft space, I guess technically it already is. Although,
Yeah.
by the way, one of the numbers we have, it was 300 million, I think, the commercial seats for Microsoft 365. It's interesting to me that, right?
You know what that number was? Office 365, which was weird, right? They said we have 300 million paid commercial seats of Office 365. I'm like, wait, why are we talking about Office 365 again?
Yeah, I think we can assume
was
that's
a
the same
mistake?
thing. But it is interesting that the Teams number is roughly half. Although
Half of that. Yeah.
the Teams number, no, it wasn't. It's not paid commercial users.
No, they're measuring two
These
different
are
things,
daily
right?
active users. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're, like everything they do in their numbers, they give you numbers that you can't actually make into any cohesive story, right? So sometimes they give you paid commercial seats, and sometimes they give you
Right.
daily active users or daily active devices. And other times they give you, here's our installed base, right? And you're like, oh wait, we're not comparing the same things quarter to quarter.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Is it intentional? Yeah,
Yep.
probably.
What did we use last time, Bob? Yep, commercial seats. All right, let's use. They just keep us on our toes.
Yeah.
Because we do a lot of this. So you go back in time, you look at the last one,
I know.
you're like, what did they
and
say
you
last
can't
time?
compare them, right? I know.
Right.
No, okay, but the weirdest number to me, or one of the weirdest numbers in this whole thing, was Surface, right?
Yeah. By the way, thank you for bringing that one up explicitly, because that did not have a good quarter. Contrary to some stories I saw, by the way.
Okay, so Surface revenues grew 12% compared to the year ago quarter, which at first you're like, oh, wow, that's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
But then you look at it sequentially and it wasn't great. So that's just one way to look at things. But then Amy Hood said on the call, the Surface, she kind of basically said Surface was a little disappointing, right? And
Right.
she said we had some execution challenges in the commercial sector, and that's all they said. And I'm like, wait, what commercial execution challenges?
By the way, that is all they said. But later
Right.
in the I guess it was in the post earnings call,
Yeah.
they referenced something they had not said, as if it were part of the problem, and it was a supply chain thing.
Right.
And they never mentioned that.
I know.
So
And then they mentioned them both, right?
Yeah, eventually they did. But when she said that was what she said. What you said is correct.
Yeah.
She only said the one thing. And when you look at the Surface stuff, I guess you got to remember the first quarter of last year, only the very beginning of the pandemic kind of hit the end of that quarter.
Yeah.
So they were coming off of a holiday quarter. I would imagine the January quarter is typically slow. Maybe the summer's even slower, but it's going to be slow compared to the holiday quarter. Yeah. But the thing is, if you look at Microsoft's overall net income and revenues, they're almost identical to the previous sequential quarter. That's not typically how we compare quarters, but
right.
The net income number was exactly the same, and the revenue number was just a little bit less this quarter. So Surface somehow, unique among Microsoft's product lines, didn't really have explosive growth. And I think it was Amy Hood warned this year, we're going to see a double-digit decline.
Ooh.
I know.
That's not good.
Partially because of an unfavorable comparable to last year because of the COVID pandemic. Right. So they probably sold what they could have sold last year in the second quarter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Second calendar quarter.
That's different. If they couldn't,
this year
sell them, then that's different. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't think, Microsoft, I guess we can kind of debate the Surface product line and whether they have the right mix of products and all that kind of stuff. But I would say this wasn't a great quarter, and it looks like it's going to be not so great for the next couple of quarters as well.
Right. I know. Yeah, and I was talking on Twitter with Dan Rubino from Windows Central, and he's like, "Well, look they're selling out of Surfaces, so it doesn't like maybe that's why they can't get enough of them." And I'm like,
Yeah, that's why.
Maybe. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I feel like if that had been it. No, I feel like if it had been, we can't keep them in stock, they would have said that, right? Like they would have loved to have said that. They absolutely would have said
it because that's how you offset bad news about a down quarter.
Yeah, but they didn't say that.
They did not say that.
So I don't know. I would love to know what were the execution challenges, right? I'm curious.
Well, I mean, we could only speculate.
Chip shortage, obviously, right?
They said
they specifically said for
supply
commercial
chain, and then they said the comment about execution challenges.
Oh well,
Execution
COVID.
challenges.
People had to go home, right?
I wonder if they just didn't have the right products for companies to buy for their employees who are going to be at home.
Oh, that's interesting. They didn't. They announced that camera and stuff.
We don't know how long you guys are going to be home. Do we take a chance on a Surface device, or do we buy a ThinkPad we know is going to work correctly? That kind of problem.
Judging by Paul,
is that an execution problem? Yeah. I mean, that's more of a perception problem, right?
No, I see Kev Brewer in the Discord server. He's saying, what about the Duo? That was my first thought, right? I'm like, maybe it's because the Duo didn't sell. But then I'm like, wait, like, what is that even material?
The Duo probably did not impact overall.
No, the Duo absolutely did not sell, but I wouldn't hold that up as a...
My mind went there, too. But
if it wasn't for the Duo, Surface would have been further.
That's the problem, Duo.
That's a bit of a stretch. Yeah.
No, I don't know. I'm super curious what it is, but yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very
and
interesting.
hopefully they
what
can
did
turn it
fantastic?
What?
Xbox, baby.
Did it?
Yeah,
good Xbox?
Oh, yeah.
Give us all the numbers.
And by the way,
Paul. And don't
Xbox
hold
is
back.
Xbox is interesting because, again, this is not the holiday quarter, right? So Microsoft launched 2 new consoles. They sort of soft launched the new cloud streaming service, right? So it's not really broadly available. But, this is a business that has, see if I can get the numbers. Yeah, overall gaming revenue in the quarter was up 50% year over year. Xbox hardware revenue was up 232%. Now, granted, last year at this time, we were at a period of time where the console generation they had then was coming to an end. There was no new hardware. I mean, so obviously that number is going to be big. And by the way, that should have been 500% if they could have, had actual hardware to sell. They only called out one title in this entire thing.
Yeah.
Minecraft. 140 million monthly active users, right? Not daily active users, because why would we use the same metrics? Up 30% year over year. Minecraft is not a new game,
Right.
That this thing has such longevity is very interesting to me.
Yeah.
In the bad news department, I think this is in the notes. Where is it? I think it's in there anyway. Sony literally just had the biggest quarter of their existence, and I should say the biggest launch period of their existence between the last quarter of last year and the first quarter of this year. They've shipped almost 8 million PlayStation 5 consoles. They're doing okay. If you were worried about Sony.
Sorry, I was hoping there'd be more Xbox news, but okay.
Oh, there's more later.
I'm
Don't worry.
I'm just teasing. Do they make money on Minecraft? I mean, growth is a lot, but do they make money on it? I mean,
I feel like
expensive.
Most of their gaming stuff is in the investment stage at this point. I wouldn't say they're not talking about
Minecraft once, like 5 years ago, for $30.
Yeah,
it wasn't even expensive then.
It's really hard to say with this stuff because Minecraft is a perk of Game Pass. It's a perk of actually, I'm not sure if it's a perk of cloud gaming, but it probably is, right? I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question.
Did they break out Game Pass revenue?
No. And that's another one of those things where some quarters they talk it up, and some quarters
so is that
they
a bad
don't.
sign? You think?
I think they're trying to cherry pick the 5 bullet points that make the most sense.
Right.
Otherwise,
it's
the 5 biggest numbers. And it just didn't. I don't think it did poorly. I just don't think it. They talked up like the momentum stuff. I mean, obviously they added dozens and dozens of games this quarter to Game Pass and to cloud gaming as well. So, they mentioned that, but they didn't talk numbers.
Yeah. They didn't say how many units they've sold of the new Xbox?
No, they'll never do that.
They'll never say that. But Sony does, doesn't? You said Sony?
Yep.
Yeah, they break it out. Yeah.
Yep, 7.8 million. Well, this quarter, I think it was 3.3, maybe.
Wow.
Like that.
Yeah. Million or billion?
Million.
Oh, well, that's not that
Units.
much.
Yeah.
Oh, units.
Well, I mean, this
Oh,
you got to remember.
units.
So a typical
units.
console generation is 80 million units ish.
Right.
So
Three's good.
the PlayStation 4 kept selling. They stole 1 million PlayStation 4s. I think they surpassed. It's well over 100 million. I don't remember the number, but that particular console for them did fantastic. I don't think the Xbox One. Is it half that? 65%. I'm not really sure.
All right. I really pushed to get as much
You
Xbox
did.
news as I possibly could in. I've done everything I
did.
could. So now it's back to Dynamics 365.
Oh boy.
Okay. So guys, I know this, you're rolling your eyes, but when they posted yesterday that Dynamics 365 was up 45%. So we don't know up 45% of what number because they won't tell us. But this is big because Dynamics has not been a stellar growth product for Microsoft.
What is Dynamics?
Salesforce has been, so ERP and CRM. Salesforce is their biggest competitor, right?
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Salesforce, Oracle, SAP, all these people who have
It's
ERP
a sales
products.
tool.
It's a sales tool, right? And financial tool for the ERP side. The reason this is big is they have been really putting a ton of effort in trying to up that number, right? They've been trying everything, like pricing, different licensing, different names of products. And finally, they've started bundling products together and trying to leverage other products to pull Dynamics up. So they integrated Dynamics and Teams, finally. They're working, Power Platform, a big part of the reason it exists is to try to help raise all the Dynamics boats. So when I saw this number, I was talking to somebody from Microsoft and they said, what was your biggest surprise on earnings? I said, you're actually starting to sell Dynamics 365. And they laughed. I'm like, yeah, I'm stunned.
Right.
I can't believe it. Because you've tried so hard and it's finally starting to work.
I'm sure
so
Mesh
yeah.
and what's it called? Viva?
Yeah. Viva.
Have rich futures ahead of them as well.
They do. And the other number I am so surprised about is LinkedIn, right? I always talk, I should say, about how Microsoft really hasn't leveraged the $26.2 billion acquisition of LinkedIn, like that it kind of just sits over there and keeps running on its own. But you know what? They did say on the call, we made $3 billion last year, like in the last consecutive year, March to March, on LinkedIn advertising. They made $3 billion.
That's pretty good.
That is. So
Pretty soon
even though
they're going to be tracking people across LinkedIn.
Oh, yeah. Oh, stand back. Here it comes.
No,
Adopt
it's pretty
Flock for
amazing.
LinkedIn.
Because don't you always kind of wonder, like, how do they make money with LinkedIn? Like LinkedIn Learning, okay, that's one way, but how else, right?
Advertising. That makes a lot of
Advertising.
sense, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about, really.
So Microsoft
I know,
doesn't
right?
take a little vig every time someone gets a job through LinkedIn. That's not how this works.
They probably have a little, like, emoji that does a flip around a
My
trapeze
cousin
or
Sal
something.
told me I could come down here and get a job at the docks.
I'm sure.
And Microsoft 10%.
I'm sure that their jobs stuff is lucrative. Somebody's
It
paying.
is.
If not the
It
employer, I'm probably the employer.
No.
Yeah.
No, right. Employers, like if you're a small business and you want to have a bigger presence on LinkedIn, you pay like hundreds of dollars a year to
Yeah.
do that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And I'm sure when you hire, all these hiring platforms, some
Yeah.
amount of money comes from the employer
Yeah.
for whether it's a subscription or a percentage of the salary for the rest of the life or just for the first 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm joking.
Exactly.
We're at a point now with LinkedIn where Microsoft, the people we talk to, like some of the PR people, especially, a little sensitive about this topic. We complain about this a lot. We don't understand why you don't understand what we're doing with LinkedIn, blah, 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 whatever. And the problem is, next year, 5 years from now, whatever it is, someday, LinkedIn's going to become profitable. And then they're going to be like, we can't say anything because these guys have been bitching and moaning for 5 years about this thing. And now we're going to be like, you haven't been profitable this entire time? What have you been doing?
That's called investing in the future.
Yeah.
Come on. I got to do that.
It's coming.
Yeah, it's coming. So overall, a good quarter. I mean, really good
A very
quarter.
good quarter.
Yes. I mean,
Yeah.
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 Yep.
I think that's what everybody's reporting, right?
Yeah.
It's not.
Yes,
it's not a question
mostly.
of did you have a good quarter in tech. It's how good.
How good was it?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there are, the other companies, as we noted, have announced their earnings. I had a couple I'll just pull out. I mean, I mentioned Google had bigger revenues than Microsoft. 80% of that, I should say 50 billion in revenues. 80% of that from advertising. Okay, so that's not really much of a surprise. Intel actually had a flat quarter year over year.
Oh, what a surprise.
And part of the problem was the PC business exploded. That was doing great.
Yeah.
But the data center business did not do well. In fact, its revenues fell year over year. AMD, conversely, had a great year in PCs and in the data center. In fact, I don't remember the rate off the top of my head, but I guess I could just look. Their data center revenues jumped, 286% year over year. I mean, it's interesting watching the world change a little bit, right? And then who else do we? Spotify is not a big deal, other than the fact that Spotify, hits an all-time monthly average user number. And
if you'd asked me
rates.
5 years ago if Spotify would be around in 2021, I would have said no.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, I really thought they were going to get clobbered by the record industry and others, but they've been very smart in their strategy, and Daniel Ek, their CEO, has done a good job of adding other revenue streams.
What is 1/2 cent per stream is, it's going good.
Well, and also, against some pretty stiff competition from Apple.
Yes.
They're still beating Apple in terms of total subscribers, I think, by quite a bit.
Yeah, but but Spotify is going to run into some problems if the antitrust regulators from around the world don't step in sometime soon, because
that's right.
Being forced
that's
to raise
what they
prices.
Say. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
that's what they say.
That's true. I mean,
yeah. Everybody's worried about Apple at this point.
Yeah.
But the EU is expected this week to announce some sort of regulation against Apple. I have a feeling.
Grab the popcorn, folks. It's going to be beautiful.
It's going to be a battle. Yeah. So Intel was down. I'm surprised. How did AMD do?
Oh, they were up big.
Up big.
Yeah. I mean, they're probably us. Actually, I keep saying probably. I guess I just look at the numbers. So Intel's numbers were 3.4 billion net income on revenues and 19.7 billion. So AMD is approximately 1/5 of that size. $550 million of net income on 3.4 billion. So they're a much smaller company, but their growth was just so much bigger. Their PC and graphics business was up 46%.
Yeah.
And their data center business was up 286%.
Wonder when NVIDIA announces their results. They're going to be they're the one to watch as far
soon.
as far as I'm concerned. They're the one to watch, especially with the acquisition of ARM.
Right.
Well, assuming
which
it
is
happens.
up in the air, right?
Up in the air, yeah.
I just don't quite understand what the alternative is. So you don't want NVIDIA to buy ARM, okay? So who's going to buy ARM?
Right.
Like who is okay?
Somebody in the toilet business, or I don't know, window drapes, something kind of different area, Maybe
looking to diversify.
U.S. Steel. Somebody's not going
U.S. Steel.
Yeah.
What's going on in Bethlehem these days?
Not much. It's kind of quiet. Ever since the furnace is shut down, my old man's been
made out of
going to the bar every day. Of course, we don't know Apple yet, but
it's supposed to be north of 75 billion.
God,
is it really?
Of course.
Oh, NVIDIA is not reporting till May 26th.
Okay.
That's a while.
May 26th.
Yeah.
But all the usual suspects having a nice time
Yes,
of
they
the
are.
COVID crisis.
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Except for chip shortages, we should say.
Yeah. I mean, imagine
That
what if
comes
they
up
could
with
if they could have
everybody.
gotten
Yeah.
chips. Imagine what it would have been, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Actually, that's okay. So that's what you're going to see in results next quarter or the quarter after.
That might actually help even it out a little bit, right? So you don't have such a huge drain after the COVID thing. But I guess it will depend on the product or the company or whatever.
Yeah. Let's take a little break. You're going to be happy to hear this, Paul. One of our longtime sponsors, the sponsor that kind of put Twit on the map, is back. It's so great to have Audible back. I never left. I know you never left. We're Audible
I listened to Audible as recently as today.
Yeah. Oh, every day. You know what I've been listening to, and I listened to it today. I listened to it while I play Valheim. I've been listening to A Promised Land, which is Barack Obama's memoir of his presidency, and it's a really good primer in the real world political goings on. You know, not the stuff that you see in the news, the horse race politics, all that stuff, but really what it's like sitting in the chair and having to deal with all of these conflicting interests. And it's got some real weight because it's him saying, and then when John Boehner walked in, I sat down. You know, that kind of thing is very powerful, really interesting. Audible's the leading provider of spoken word entertainment, and it's perfect for our busy lives. There's plenty of times when, you know, you would love to listen to an audiobook, but you just don't, you know, your hands are full. You're doing the grocery shopping or cleaning the house or, you know, playing a video game. And that's what I love about it, whether you're driving, cooking, cleaning the house, just relaxing. Lisa and I have a nice habit, which I think we got from you, Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the car.
In the car. When we were in Hawaii, driving on the road to Hana, we listened to Andy Weir's amazing The Martian. It's now kind of inexorably tied to that experience. Like, if I hear a passage of The Martian, I go, oh, yeah, that was by the Seven Waterfalls.
So that one reminds me of Barcelona because I was listening to it when we were there at a home swap, and I kept laughing in the bathroom, and my wife was like, what are you doing?
Having way too much fun shaving, Paul. Yeah. I'm worried about it.
I was just laughing out loud. It's hilarious.
So Lisa and I will go to bed. Instead of watching TV at night, we've been listening to Charles Portish's True Grit. The movie was based on it. Fantastic reader on that one. It really brings it to life. She also reads The Dog of the South. It turns out she's a very well-known novelist who read True Grit and said, and went to Audible and said, I got to read this. Donna Tartt, her stuff is also on Audible and is fantastic. Audible has a new thing, as you probably know, Paul. Audible, Paul and I have been members for years. I joined in 2000, 21 years now on Audible.
Wow.
I should get a gold watch, shouldn't I? Something. The Audible Plus plan is really awesome because it basically has a big catalog, the Audible Plus catalog of audiobooks, and not just audiobooks, but all kinds of audio content that you can listen to as part of your subscription. Discover new favorites, explore formats you might not have listened to before. I love the Words Plus Music series where you get an album and you hear the story of the album from the guys or gals who made it. There's podcasts in there, even theatrical performances. It's all you can eat. You can listen all you want to thousands and thousands of popular audiobooks, original entertainment, and podcasts, including ad-free versions of some of your favorite shows and exclusive series. Download them, stream them, listen anywhere on any time, on any device. You'll never lose your spot. I like that, too, because I listen sometimes in the web browser when I'm at my desk, and then I go to the phone and I get in the car and I listen there. I listen on Amazon's Echo. In fact, one of my favorite features of the Echo, I would say I use it more for this than anything else, is I'll say, Echo, read to me. And it'll pick up right where I left off in my most recent audio book from Audible. To use your Audible membership, you need to download the Audible app. It's free. You can install it on all smartphones and tablets. Listening to Audible will make you inspired, connected, and it's all in that one app. And Audible Plus, your playlist for life. Anything you're listening to lately, Paul, you wanted to tell people about?
So I've been re-listening. I do this a lot, unfortunately. 11/22/63.
Love it.
By Stephen King.
Love it.
Narrated by one of my favorite narrators, Craig Wasson.
Yeah. He brings it to life,
fantastic.
doesn't he? Yeah. Craig Wasson. I can hear his voice in my head. It's so funny.
I love his voice. We just watched he was in a like a Brian De Palma movie in the 80s, which is ridiculous.
Oh, that's interesting.
We were watching it and I was like, this guy's voice seems kind of familiar.
I'll just play a little bit of this.
Harry Dunning graduated with flying colors. I went to the little GED ceremony in the LHS gym at his invitation.
It's so funny.
He really had no one else, and I was happy to do it.
Grover Gardner's good, too, actually. I like his...
So I say with more money in circulation, you'd be... better turn off your pumps half.
I think this might be a guy who can do lots of voices.
He does lots
of pumps. What?
Yeah, but you need that in the stand because there's lots of characters.
Yeah.
All right, these Audible ads tend to go on a little long, so I apologize. But
I literally use Audible every day.
The best audiobooks in the world, the best audio in the world. What are you waiting for? Delve into your next title on Audible with Audible Plus. New members can try Audible Plus for 30 days. Download the Audible app. Get started with a free trial. Audible.com/Windows. Or you can text Windows to 500 500 AUDIBLE. Audible.com/Windows. Or text Windows to 500 500 to start your free trial today. Thank you, Audible. Welcome back. It's nice to have you on Windows Weekly. Windows, let's see, fun. Wait a minute, we have a fun. I'd like you to do this from now on. A new section. It's the fun section.
Right. We're mixing it up.
Woo. Woo.
Yeah, so this was kind of goofy. Like Microsoft, where did they do this? Anyway, Microsoft wrote, the Microsoft design team discussed how they want to find a new font for all things Microsoft. So if you go to Microsoft Word or any of the Office apps today, the default font is called Calibri. And I think it dates back to 2007.
That one's been around forever. Yeah.
Before that, it was all Times New Roman, which to me today looks horribly antiquated. But
ugly.
Yeah. So anyway, there's a contest, and now they have 5 fonts that they're pitting against each other, and people can vote about which ones they like. But I put them all into a document, and I got to be honest, they're very subtly different from each other.
Okay, thank goodness you're saying this, because I was looking at them. I'm like, I know I can't see design, but come on, are they really different?
They're so close. I doubted that I had done it correctly, and so I kind of went back and I put the text selection thing on each line, and it's like, no, those are the right fonts.
They look exactly the same. There's nothing.
Yeah, the only thing you can see there is they all have a different, like the sentence length is different, so you can tell it's like this spacing or something is a little bit off. But
yeah. The only one I like is Bierstadt, and I'm not saying why.
And I know why. See, my favorite is Grandview. I think that's super legible. So they're all sans serifs. They're all very similar. They're like Helvetica.
Very similar.
Yeah. But there are subtle differences. The size of the characters. That's why I like Grandview, because it's got the biggest characters. The kerning. I kind of
It's clean. I mean, I remember liking Verdana back in the day.
Verdana was great. I used that forever. Yeah.
And then the Calibri thing is fine. Like it would never occur to me to change the default font. Like it seems fine.
No.
Right.
Apple does the same thing. I think they use San Francisco now, but periodically they'll change the system-wide font.
Yeah,
and they're going. You don't want the font to stand out. You don't want somebody to say, "Oh, that's a nice font." No, you want it to be legible, clear, and just background.
Yeah.
Did you ever see the movie Helvetica?
No.
This is like a documentary.
Is that really a movie?
It's a movie about the font. Highly recommend it.
Really?
Highly. Oh, you would love it, Mary
Would I
Jo.
like it?
Yes.
I would like it?
Totally.
Okay. Really?
Oh, it's wonderful because it's fast. It's fascinating.
Is it about typesetting?
There's a lot about. You learn a little bit about typesetting.
Okay.
But
that'd be
but it's a documentary. It came out in 2007. You might think it's a boring subject. Actually, now I want to watch it again.
No, look at Micah is saying this is one of my all-time favorite movies.
See,
Leo.
Micah's got good taste.
And he's an old man and a young man.
He's such a funny. He's so funny. Yeah, I'm 27 and I'm really into fonts. Yeah, no one said no one ever.
Might not want to put that on the dating app.
Put that on Tinder.
Slide.
Yeah, fonts are my life.
Yeah, don't let ease into the font thing.
Yeah, I don't know where it's available. I think I watched it on Netflix. I don't know if it's still there though, but it's really good. Really recommend it. You'll trust us. Trust me and Micah.
Okay. All right. If
you don't trust me, you can trust Micah. And then, which font did you guys have to weigh in? Which font do you like here? Tenorite, Bierstadt, Skina. I know.
I can't.
Seaford.
They all look the same. They can pick anyone, and I won't care.
I don't like Tenorite. I'm down on Tenorite. Don't like it.
Wow.
Because the letters are squat. I don't like squat letters.
They're very square.
I think, Bierstadt is fine. I don't have a problem with that one. Bierstadt is probably my next second favorite. Yeah. They're very subtle.
They're very
Tenorite is good.
Tenorite is not good, Paul.
It's not good.
Don't show me your ignorance. So are they all going to be
It's on full
the,
display, Leo.
They will all be in the menu as you can see them, right? Are they there now?
Yeah. So the way this works, if you have Microsoft Word, it's in there. You'll have to download it before you can use it, but it's super quick. And there's a little icon that indicates you have to download it. But you can test all these right now.
I'm going to do it. But you can't test them as system fonts, just as a font.
Yeah, right. And documents, yeah.
Because what this will ultimately be is everywhere, on menus and things like that.
So.
This will be the system font,
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have sort of looked at this and said, this is about Microsoft Office. And it's like, I think it's a lot more than that. I think this is literally the font.
People are saying it's the Office font, right? But it's
no, it's not. It's the Microsoft font.
It's the system
the
font.
Microsoft font.
Yeah.
Yep.
We were trying to decide at our editorial meeting whether we should, there'll be a screen worth covering at Build. We decided not to. Made an executive decision late last night not to come in at 7 this morning to cover the Samsung event. And it turns out I don't think we missed much. What about Build?
Would you cover Build Live? I mean, I would, but I just add the caveat.
That's you.
Right.
So
you have a similar interest in developers.
You care about
developers conference.
It's a developer show, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be a developer tools. It's going to be about Visual Studio, Office tools, right?
I think
I'm sure
we'll
there'll
do
be
it.
some.
We might do it.
I think you should.
We might do it. We have this new capability because of Club Twit.
Yeah.
To do stuff in Discord. Instead of having to fire up the studio, we could just do it in Discord. Like we're doing this stage right now in Club Twit. That's the Windows show. So we did a Linux show on Saturday. I think we're going to do that again on Saturday. Lisa and I did an Inside Twit, and it's really easy. We did the Inside Twit from our deck. You can hear the peacocks in the background and the turkeys, and at one point a deer wanders through. So
nice.
So if it's not
1 hour, it's only 1 hour.
If it doesn't rise to the level of maybe taking over the Twitch stream, we could just do it on the Discord. There's a whole coding section, quite active coding section in there. So.
It's next year probably we're going to be flying to Seattle to go to Build in person, and if that keynote goes longer than an hour, we're going to stand up in the middle of it and be like, "Too long." I'm getting really used to these concise keynotes.
I know.
I really like it.
It's true.
So Build registration. That's the story is that Build registration is open now. Just opened. Yeah.
It's for everybody. Anyone can get in. It's free.
Anybody.
This is why I love these virtual shows. I think this is so great.
Me too.
Yep.
No competition to get the lottery, to get the ticket so you can fly to Seattle or somewhere and go to an event and all that stuff.
I know.
But the question here, of course, is whether we're going to hear about Windows.
Right.
This has not been a good record for the past few years.
No. And you know what? Today, Yusuf Mehdi, who heads up Modern Life and Devices, he tweeted something that made me think, you know what? I don't know if we're going to see a lot of Windows content at Build, because he said he was on campus recording a virtual keynote about Windows and Surface updates that they will be sharing, quote, in the coming months. So that could mean May, which is Build.
But he would
or
have
it could
said
mean,
Build, right? If he meant it.
He would have said next month,
Yeah.
right? And instead, in the coming months, right? So there's a rumor that Microsoft's going to have everything that's coming down the pike about Windows event.
Ooh.
Maybe in June.
That would be interesting. That I would be very interested in. Yeah.
I know. That would be like all about Windows 10, 21H2, the Sun Valley stuff.
Yep.
New Surface devices. That's more
that deserves
like
its own event. I think that deserves its own event.
It does. I agree. Although then if you go to Build, what do you get? You get Visual Studio Code, you get Office tools, Power Platform.
It's a lot of Azure stuff too, right? I mean,
a lot of Azure
ends
stuff.
Up being a lot of Azure.
Yeah, totally. Right. All the stuff they're doing in the cloud for developers.
And
Teams.
My favorite subject, WSL, Windows Subsystem for Linux, right?
Right.
That's, I presume,
So
where they would talk about that.
So Kayla Cinnamon, who heads up Windows Terminal, is listed as a speaker. That's her real name. I know. It's such a great name. She's a speaker at Build. So that means they're going to talk Windows Terminal at Build, probably. So maybe
Good.
WSL.
Love that.
Also.
Love that.
Right? Maybe.
So what you're saying is Build is really about dev tools, not about Windows, not about Surfaces. It's dev tools.
Right. Dev tools.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dev tools, dev services,
Oh, and
GitHub,
dev technologies,
right?
frameworks,
Yeah.
languages.
.NET, yeah, all that stuff.
Actually, Microsoft's really good at this stuff, I have to say. I mean,
They are good at it.
I just hope
TypeScript.
that Satya Nadella rappels down in a ninja suit and takes the chip out of a tablet or whatever. And
No, Scott Hanselman. Come on, all your people. Scott Hanselman's going to be at Build, right?
Yeah, all the people I like. Scott does.
Yeah,
Scott's
all those
last
people.
keynote, what was that? I don't know what event that was, but it was so good. I really enjoyed that. Maybe that was last Build.
probably Ignite, I would imagine.
Oh, it's probably Ignite. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was he a part of the Ignite keynote?
He shows up at all these
I think he
events. I
was.
think so.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, Build's going to be good anyway. Even if they save the Windows content for a separate event, Build will still be good.
Yeah, but man, I'd really like to see some Windows stuff.
I know. Maybe they'll do a couple little Windows tidbits, Project Reunion, maybe.
You know, a long time ago, Microsoft used to always have a Windows Reviewers Workshop attached to the day before, like Tech Ed back in the day, which is now Ignite, or Microsoft Build, or PDC probably back then. But they just haven't, it hasn't been like that in a long time.
Right.
I think, Mary Jo, the Raven is at your window. Tapping.
No,
Nevermore.
it's the work guy who all day was not here and now is here because he knows it's Windows Weekly Wednesday, so he has to come by.
Mary Jo. Hello, Mary
tap.
Jo.
He's right out on the scaffolding, like tapping a hammer.
Here's some
Really?
bricks that need pointing.
I know.
Right
I'm
out
like,
the
guys, seriously?
It's going to work in my drum solos for a little while.
All right, I have a theory. He's a Windows Weekly listener.
Maybe
and every
that's it.
week he downloads the show to listen for his contribution.
You know,
He's taking it
I
a
wouldn't
little
put it
literally
past
with
him.
the Windows thing.
Yeah, a little bit. literally.
about Windows.
Here I am.
It's pretty entertaining. They don't talk about Windows much, but,
Nobody knows more about Windows than me.
Oh man,
Evil John says Kayla Cinnamon is a good Twitter follow.
she is.
Fun to follow.
Yep.
That's something actually Microsoft does very well is this social media stuff. They've
They
hired
do.
some good people for it.
Yep.
For that. Okay. Where did I leave us?
Fun is over.
Fun is over.
Fun is over. Yep.
No,
Hope
we're
you
going to talk
enjoyed
about
it.
Windows. That's still fun.
Okay. 20H2 is now. Well, this is an interesting stat. I don't want to steal your thunder, but tell
Windows 10 version 20H2 and 2004, its predecessor, both have roughly 40% usage share within Windows 10, right? So
2004 is
these are
not a
the two most
surprise.
popular.
That's been out since last spring, and
Well,
it's,
a year ago,
yeah.
right?
But
yeah,
that's-
and essentially these are the same version, really, right? I mean, we all kind of understand that.
Yeah. So 80%
yeah, I mean,
of all Windows 10 users are now on a relatively up-to-date version. That's good.
Yeah,
Yep.
and this comes up every month, I guess, but I'll just say it again. I feel like this is what Microsoft was shooting for.
Yes, exactly.
They talked about Windows 10 and keeping it up to date. Now, granted, they had to bend the rules a lot to get to this point, right? Because they're not doing the major minor thing anymore. But at least not for a little while. But whatever, it's good.
Still no word from Microsoft on 21H1, right? I mean, there was a beta version last week, wasn't there?
They've got it in testing. It's been in testing forever. There's a rumor it could start rolling out on the May Patch Tuesday, which is May 11th.
Oh,
But they have not confirmed that.
okay.
2 short weeks away.
2 weeks away. And you know what? I don't know if you caught this, Paul, but when Microsoft does earnings, Frank Shaw, the head of PR, puts out this long list of here's all the products we announced in this quarter. And you know what he had in there? 21H1.
So it's
I'm like,
they finalized it, I guess. That's stretching.
Yeah,
That's a
and
bit of a
it's-
stretch.
Right?
Announced
'Cause I'm
is
like,
such a
it's
big
in the
word,
list.
isn't it?
It is. It's a very vague term.
Guys, there are things Microsoft announced last spring that still aren't out yet. So
I know,
yes,
that's true.
this is a vague term.
Did they play trumpets at the announcement? Okay.
I think of them as
I'll tell you
classic
another
English
reason.
Herald.
No, here's another reason. This is me being putting on my Microsoft sleuth hat and telling you why I think it's in May. So they also announced last week that this news and interest pop-up thing that they have that has the weather and stock tips and news headlines is going to be rolling out starting. They said starting now to everyone on Windows 10, 1909, and later. But then when you read the fine print, it's actually not starting now because you need the May Patch Tuesday update for it to roll out to you. So I'm like, oh, so what's in the May Patch Tuesday update that's going to kind of unlock something? And that makes me think 21H1 is going to start out on May Patch Tuesday. I'm just guessing.
A little sleuth work. That's good.
Right?
So how do you, not that it matters, I guess, but how does this thing occur? Is it a Windows experience, feature experience pack or whatever you call it?
I asked. They wouldn't say. I'm like, how do you get the news and interest thing?
Well, it could just be a normal cumulative update, which kind of throws a wrench into their whole... Yeah,
it probably is.
Supposedly, we're looking at different ways to deliver features that you've never mentioned.
I know. So, you know what? Let's add one more way you can get features besides the feature experience pack and feature updates and this and that. Right.
Probably doesn't matter, but it is.
I know.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. So if you're worried about news and interest, like you're like, I don't want this thing cluttering my taskbar. I don't like it. I don't want it. There's going to be a way to turn it off from the taskbar. Just so you know.
Right. And I can assure you that when you do turn it off from the taskbar, that setting will not sync to any of the other.
I was just going to say that. And it will be back every single time.
Every time. Yeah, I guarantee it. Guarantee it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but if you're reading the tea leaves, there seems like that, but it's going to be timed right around 21H1. Yeah. Hey, let's take a little time out for a word from our sponsor and also a little heads up to our chatters. We have 233 people in IRC, about 44 people in the Discord. We're going to take questions again this week. It worked so well last week. Somebody said, except for that first guy who said, I don't use Windows, but...
I don't have a problem with that.
I don't either.
No. I don't either.
In fact, I love it. If you listen to this show and you don't use Windows, that's a vote for the personalities of Paul and Mary Jo as much as anything else. Anyway, we'll be going to questions in about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So start formulating your questions. Formulations. Our show today brought to you by the purple teaming platform, PlexTrack. So I sincerely hope that your enterprise has a red team that's going out and looking for vulnerabilities, looking for ways bad guys could get in, looking for problems that you want to fix. And I hope you also have a team, maybe a blue team, that's fixing those problems. But how about communications between your red and blue teams? That's the purple teaming platform. That's where PlexTrack can really help. The security management platform that brings you better reports, deeper assessments, and after all, the thing you've come for, which is more insights. Do you spend hours and hours reporting security issues and feel like it's getting you nowhere? Are you buried in data but still can't get a full picture of your security posture to prioritize your remediation efforts? Well, this is the solution for you. This helps with all of that. PlexTrack, PLEXTRAC, empowers continuous assessment, automated workflow, effective collaboration between teams to help your cybersecurity professionals do more in less time. Create assessment reports in half the time. I always think about these assessment reports. I think of Barney Miller. And was it Wojciechowicz? I think it was Wojciechowicz sitting down at the old creaky typewriter, typing in his reports. It's a cop show. One finger at a time. Type. I kind of imagine that you're doing that. It probably feels like you're doing that sometimes. Wouldn't it be nice to have a system that makes it fast and easy to create those assessment reports? And then takes them and centralizes your remediation efforts across everything you're doing, all the scans, the assessments, the audits. You get powerful risk visualizations. You get scanner and ticketing integrations. You get enhanced analytics to effectively communicate risks in real time. No reason to go back to the precinct and manually type this stuff in. There's a platform for you, whether you're red or you're blue. There's a Plex track for every security professional to save time and get the right work done. Red teams can import findings from numerous vulnerability scanners. It knows them all. Include screenshots and videos, auto formatting so they look slick without a lot of work on your part. You can even create customized templates and export them out to Word with one click. Streamline the report writing process to deliver better reports faster. It's modern. It's what you deserve. You guys work hard. This is a tough job. You need the tools. And if you manage a red team or a blue team, you want to give them the tools so they do the job better, faster, more effectively. Blue teams, you can customize internal and external assessment questionnaires, synchronize findings with task management tools like Jira Cloud. You can assign findings to team members, track status over time, and you can even provide attestation of your security posture with robust analytics. If the board wants that, you got it. They just, PlexTrack is very hot right now. They just closed a couple of weeks ago a $10 million funding round, which is going to help fuel growth in their cybersecurity workflow platform. Venture firms Noro Mosley Partners, Madrona Venture Group, they led the round, participation from Stage.O Ventures. PlexTrack will use the funds to continue building their team and growing their platform, and that's good news for you, the users. PlexTrack improves the entire security engagement lifecycle by making it easy to generate security reports, deliver them securely, track the issues to completion straight from the platform, and it's really, should I say fun to use? It makes your life a lot better. Book a demo today. Try PlexTrack free for 1 month. See how it can change your life as a security professional. Just go to plextrack.com/twit to claim that free month. Please use that address so that they know you saw it here. We want to make sure they must have watched that Windows Weekly. plextrack.com/TWIT, PlexTrack. We thank you so much for your support. Thank you all for supporting Windows Weekly by using that address. plextrack.com/twit. All right, let's get on with the show. We are now moving to Dynamics 3. Oh, no, we did that. Microsoft 365. Mary Jo.
Yes, you're going to care about this, I think, maybe, or some people will anyway.
People will, as long as somebody does.
Microsoft's still doing non-subscription versions of Office on the client and the server. They announced this months ago that they would have new versions this year for both Windows and Mac. So they have now rolled out the first public preview of what they call Office LTSC for Windows. That's long-term servicing channel. And Office 2021 for the Mac. So these previews are for business customers. They are not the consumer versions. And as Microsoft said months ago, this is a subset of the features you get if you instead went with Office 365 or Microsoft 365. They're trying to make it so that people who use these on-premises versions have a real reason to do it, just like with Windows LTSC. Like, they're not just trying to avoid getting updates. They're trying to do things like run a process control device in manufacturing or something like that. So these previews are out there. They're downloadable. You can start kicking the tires on them if you are a commercial customer. That's the caveat here.
Okay.
The consumers are not going to get previews. They're just going to be like, ta-da, here it is for the consumer versions. So that'll be coming later, probably later this summer if you're a consumer, I guess.
Nice. I was so interested in that. You were so right.
See, just because of the Mac angle alone, I thought maybe you would care.
I think you could download that right now. Yeah, yeah.
You can. You can. Yeah.
But I have to have so I have the, not the business account, the
right. You don't even need to have a subscription for this.
Oh,
right?
you don't? Oh.
No.
If you have
just say I'm a business.
Consumer Microsoft 360, sorry.
Go ahead.
They can tell by your email if you're a business.
Yeah, if I used Leo at twit.tv, that would work. Yeah. I do that all the time.
It's possible to test new features for free in Office if you have a Microsoft 365 consumer.
It is.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, good.
File account, you can go in, sign up, say I want to be on the beta channel.
Yeah. Just like the Inside. It's called the Insiders, right? So this is on the Insiders.
Yep.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
there
I
are
mean, this
people who
is-
don't have an account who want to test it too, right?
Sure they do.
We don't care
The
about those people.
diehards.
Yeah, who
We
cares
care
about
Those
them?
diehards who hate subscriptions and they want to have what's called a perpetual license where you pay
Oh, yeah,
the
that's
5
fair.
years
Yeah.
of support. It used to be 10, now it's 5.
So if I have the perpetual license and I download the new version, does it overwrite it, or do I now have 2 versions of Word?
Is
for
it a side by
instance?
side? That's
Side
a
by
good
side?
question.
I guess side
It's
by
been a while
side,
since I've
wouldn't you?
ever run anything Office side by side. You used to be able to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm sure for the subscription, it doesn't, because you can
Yes,
always go back
yes.
to any other version.
It is click to run, which is what they use on.
I
the
like that click to
subscription.
run, by the way. That's nice. I wish more products did that. I guess it's because it's such a massive download. They can't make you wait the whole download. Yeah. All right, I'm going to try that on the Mac. That's good.
Try it.
Yeah.
Give it a whirl.
And not just the Mac, Amazon Fire tablets, right?
Yeah, this is kind of a weird thing. So I guess I would have written about this anyway, even though I'm not a huge fan of Amazon's tablets.
They're kind of
but
low end. Yeah.
They're decidedly low end. Yeah. So they just upgraded or are about to. They're coming out in May, but they've updated the Fire HD 10 and 10 Plus. If you're familiar with how Amazon works, they're, kind of low end internals. I don't think the processor has changed since the last gen, but they're inexpensive, right? So I think one of these, I think the cheapest one is probably $150. And then they go up in increments. They have the versions where you pay to have the ads removed from the homepage, and you can upgrade the storage from 32 to 64 gigs. You can go from the normal version to the Plus version, which adds more RAM and a wireless charging. But new to this year is a productivity bundle that starts at $220 and again goes up from there because based on which version of the tablet. That includes a detachable keyboard cover and 1 year of Microsoft 365 Personal, which is a first. So kind of an interesting, I guess we'll call it a partnership for those two companies. So if you use Microsoft 365 and you hate yourself, Amazon has a tablet.
You can hate yourself even more. It will help.
When I saw this, I was like, is this that Office app that Microsoft has? The one that is the combined Word Excel?
Well, I'm
No,
sure. It's in
not,
there,
right?
maybe. But yeah.
It's not. It's a subscription, right?
It's literally Microsoft 365 Personal.
Okay.
Okay. What else? What else is going on in this fascinating Microsoft 365 world? What's Viva? We talked about
Yeah.
Viva.
Please don't make me explain Viva Learning.
Viva Learning. Viva Learning.
Microsoft, for some reason, remember, ahead of Ignite, Microsoft announced Viva, which has 4 components. Mm-hmm. And I will never remember the 4 components. What other version?
You don't need to remember them.
Viva Topics, Viva Insights, Viva something else. Oh, Viva Connections. And Viva Learning. So Viva Learning is literally it. The point of this is it integrates into Teams because, again, Teams is the center of everyone's workday now. And it provides you with learning resources, directly inside of Teams. So you don't have to go to a web browser and go to a specific site or whatever. I think Viva, like that Microsoft Mesh thing, is arguably a combination of things that Microsoft already kind of had, but they decided to throw a brand on it and improve them all. And, release it as a thing. But it's I'll call it a set of Microsoft 365 services, I guess.
Yeah.
In this case, specifically for Teams.
It's basically, they called it LinkedIn Learning. No, what did they call it before? The Learning app for Teams.
Yeah,
right.
no, I think I'm sure
Rebranded
it probably came out of LinkedIn Learning, right? That's probably
there's
the
LinkedIn
source.
Learning content, custom content, third-party content. It's basically the idea is in this employee portal you have, if you want to make sure your employees are reading certain things or learning new courses or something, you could put them in the Learning app, and then you can see, give a little check mark. Okay, they read that.
I just had to do that the other day.
Yeah, right?
No, today, this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I work, fortunately I have a real job. The radio show, I'm actually an employee of iHeart, and God, they do a lot of training.
Yeah, so does
training.
Microsoft,
I guess
right? Microsoft
all
does
companies
too.
do this.
Yeah.
So today I had, if you're going to have an event for your radio station, here's how all the things you have to do to make sure it's legal. It's like I'm not, but I still have to
You have to say you did it.
I have to do the
right?
training. Yeah, I get in trouble with
Yeah.
my boss. She's always writing me emails saying, "You didn't do the training. You're supposed to finish the training by now."
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Compliance training,
Yeah.
all that stuff. Yeah.
Micah Sargent, of all people, says he loves Viva.
Of course he does.
he says
Probably
it-
likes Yammer too.
Yeah, he says it's like a wiki, but it's really an intranet. It's an intranet for training.
It is.
Yeah,
It is.
Is what it is.
It lets you do a lot of different things in different modules, right? There's analytics, learning, topics, knowledge management, all that stuff.
Where are you using Teams, Micah? He says whatever the thing is, it builds a wiki into Teams. That's what I like. You can mouse over words and it gives you terms. Maybe that's Viva.
Oh.
Is that Viva?
Yeah, this sounds like
Isn't
a
that a
Microsoft
new
graph
feature
kind of thing.
in?
Who are you,
Yeah,
Micah? Are you
Microsoft 365.
moonlighting for some company that uses Teams? We don't use Teams here. How the hell do you know about that?
You know, he uses Teams on Elvis just to get the full Microsoft
He is so
experience.
impressive. That is impressive. That is somebody who cares deeply about his work. He says, "Yeah, I'm thinking of something else."
Yeah, I know what he means. So I think it's that thing when you're in Word and you can right click on something and it gives you the definition because
I
of
do
AI
like that.
built in.
Yeah, I do like that.
You know that thing?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is more along the
It's
lines
called a
of I
dictionary.
need someone in my organization who has skills along whatever lines.
Right. That's the like doing knowledge management kind of stuff in Viva. Yeah.
Moving right along.
Yeah.
Microsoft Classroom Pen 2 arrives next week.
Yeah, this probably actually, I guess technically it launched yesterday now, but this isn't going to impact a lot of people. It's literally only for educational institutions. But the original version of the Classroom Pen was like kind of a squat-looking
Oh, I remember that.
black
Yeah.
Surface Pen. So the new version looks almost, to me, it looks identical to the Surface Pen, but I haven't seen it, side by side. So it's silver again, like the regular Surface Pen. It has like little holes at the end, so you can put a little clip in there, so you can kind of put it into your pocket, or clip it onto like a Surface type cover, I guess, or you can get like a little strap, so you can hold it to a kid's wrist or whatever. But here's the deal: like you can't just go buy this thing. Like you can't go to Amazon and buy it. So the cost is roughly $20 per pen, but schools have to buy them in packs of 20.
Yikes.
So the minimum buy is $400, and then you can't buy it as an individual anyway. So
Yikes.
but you got to build something that's durable enough to survive. The
Apple did
elementary
this
classroom.
too. I think that it was from Crayola, actually, a Crayola pen that was fat for little pudgy hands.
Yeah. This one, it looks like they're moving
Like
toward more
mine.
classic design.
I am ready. If you are ready, we can take some questions from the peanut gallery here. We've got the.
Okay.
If you're in the Discord chat, press the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen and let me know, and I'll invite you onto the stage. We do have a question already from the IRC, which I would actually think is a good question. I'm kind of intrigued to hear what you say about it. He's asking about 32-bit Windows and whether you guys think it's eventually just going to be faded out. I'm trying to find it, if it's going away slowly or not.
Well, yeah. I mean, right now it pretty much only exists to serve existing computers, right? I mean, you couldn't probably buy a 32-bit PC anymore if you wanted to.
Right. So it's, and yet so many programs still, depend on
Our
32-bit libraries, or they're 32-bit, or it's
But
kind
the
of
nice thing about 64 bits in Windows is 32-bit is just automatic. There's no performance penalties. It just works. It's fine.
Yeah.
That stuff works great.
yeah. Kind of scroll back through the chat room to find who asked that. I apologize.
Yeah. Anyway, I think it's inevitable, but then again, it's probably tied to some percentage of PCs in the world that are still 32-bit and needing to support them for some reason. But
Yeah. Osprey, come on up onto the stage. If you're in the Discord chat, we can actually do audio chat with you. Hi, Osprey. Is that your furry friend as your avatar? He's
Yes, indeed it is.
a very cute little guy.
Yeah, she's pretty special.
Oh, little girl. Yeah. What's her name?
Yeah. Oh, that is Mishka.
Hi, Mishka. She's staring right at me. In fact, her eyes follow me around the room. It's a little treat.
She is.
What would you like to know, Osprey? Say hello to Mary Jo and Paul.
Well, my big question is, and I'm sure you've discussed this pretty in depth already, but I'm still trying to figure out what the business case is for WSL, as much as I also love it.
The business case
for the Windows subsystem for Linux. I think it's for developers, right? I mean, is there what businesses?
Well, right. So as far as it being like so I would say in an organization, which is typically going to be Windows heavy, you might have developers that are on Macs or on Linux machines.
Yeah.
And so I think the business case is it allows them to use a Windows machine without having to have a second computer or just a different platform. And it's a known quantity from a support and management perspective. So the business case for a business, an organization is that, I think. I mean, the hope is that it's compelling enough that developers don't leave Windows and go to a Mac or Linux, is my guess.
Actually, that in a way answers my question, because my question is, well, why don't you just use Linux? I mean, why? So this is exactly why, because you're in an enterprise that requires Windows, or is buying you Windows, and you need to use some Unix tools, and so.
Yeah, I mean, even in my small company, one of our previous dev guys had to maintain 2 different computers because he preferred Linux, but he had to be on Windows to access some of the stuff we were doing. And it's for the individual, it's kind of just a pain having to go back and forth. Yeah. So he was really excited. He's gone now, but I mean, when WSL first came out, he was really excited because he was thinking, "Oh, it's great! I can just use a ThinkPad now. I don't have to switch between computers."
Yeah, yeah. Do you use WSL, Osprey?
I do. I love it a great deal. I love Linux a great deal. It's just one of those things where it blows my mind that they can justify the cost.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was initially an in-house project, because some of their people wanted to use Linux, and they
I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah.
Which distro do you use? Because you can go to the Microsoft Store and download a variety of different distros. Do you use Ubuntu with it? Or?
Oh, well, my daily driver is Ubuntu, so then I have Ubuntu on Windows as well.
Yeah.
But I also study a lot of cybersecurity and making that my career. So I've got Kali.
Kali Linux.
But I've got a little bit of everything.
So in a way, this is one of the things that WSL does. It's great. If you want to try distros, it's a really easy way to do that. You just download them from the store. And I wouldn't want to live in Kali Linux, but all the pen testing tools on there are really great. So I could see that makes a lotot of sense.
That's another benefit when you think about it, the ability to switch between distros on the same PC without having to reboot or dual boot or whatever it is, boot another computer.
Yeah. Osprey, thanks for coming up on the stage. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. That's there. He's in our Discord. A little mention of what's going on there is we have a Discord channel that's for the Club Twit. We launched Club Twit a couple of weeks ago, and it's been going great, and I thank you all for participating. The chief benefit of Club Twit is just ad-free versions of all of our shows. Once you join, you'll get a special link for the ad-free versions for every show we do that's unique to you. You can add it to your Pocket Casts or whatever podcast client you use. There's audio and video. But there's a couple of other benefits. We never really thought that they would be. We thought we just threw them in. We thought most people would join for ad-free. It turns out, I think one of the big benefits, you know this, Mary Jo, because you're in the Discord from time to time, is the Discord. It's really, I'm loving Discord. It's really fun, and we have some great people in there. And you get that. So that's invite only. That's only members of the club are in it, although all of our other hosts plus contributors are also invited to be in there. And then the third benefit is a special feed, a Twit Plus feed of just whatever tidbits, from the cutting room floor, things like that, things we didn't put out in podcasts that never were available for download before. So if you want to know more about that, it's $7 a month, and you can go to twit.tv/clubtwit to find out all about it. twit.tv/clubtwit. By the way, it's Krempel who asked that 32-bit question, and he says he was more asking about the Win32 API. Is that going to be deprecated?
I doubt it. That's another same same type of thing where there's no Win64, right?
Right.
So Win32 at one point was expanded to include 64-bit functions and whatever. So it's kind of a hybrid API at this point. I mean, are they going to deprecate? I mean, obviously, it's possible that that anything like this could end of life at some point. But Win32 is still sits under every single Windows app that's written, no matter how you do it.
Right.
I just don't see that happening anytime soon.
Frosty Winnipeg in our chat room says somebody should ask what's up with all the outages. I guess Frosty Winnipeg didn't want to be the one to ask, but it was kind of ironic that when they announced this sudden jump in Teams membership, that Teams was down
for 2 hours. Yeah,
2 hours. We need to start seeing these things as the benefits that they are. Just go outside, get some fresh air. It's beautiful out.
You know what? So it was down like starting 6:30 a.m. Eastern to 8:30 a.m. Eastern. So for many people in the U.S., it was less of a terrible thing than it was in Europe, right? It was like right in the middle of the day. Like a lot of school kids were like trying to sign on. And yeah, it wasn't a good look. Right? I don't think they've done an analysis, publicly made available analysis yet of what the root cause problem was there. I've asked, I haven't gotten a response yet, but yeah, they haven't had a million Teams outages, but whenever you have one, it's very noticeable because you can't do chat, you can't do meetings, you can't do anything, right? If your organization is built around Teams. So yeah, we're trying to find out what happened. It's not a good look. I'm trying to find out what like with Azure, when they do these root cause analysis, they say, and here is how we're going to fix this going forward. I would like to see something similar from the Teams team about that.
As Toad Sloth says in our ISC chat room, there was an outage in Canada because beavers chewed through the internet wires in a small town. It could be that.
Yeah.
Could be beavers. Could be.
You never know. Yeah.
I never know what I'm going to get when I say hello to Chris in Miami. He's our favorite coffee achiever. Chris, this better be about Windows.
It is about Windows.
Okay.
Today, my friend. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Well, we're on Windows Weekly, so if I get in here and start talking about coffee, I think we
Stop
can get a bit of a situation.
Chris is to coffee what you are to beer, Mary Jo.
Is he a Java guy?
He's a Java guy.
I'm a Java guy. I've never had my opportunity to speak to these two absolutely wonderful people that handle the Windows Weekly, but I got to say my fave is Mary J. Foley. She's absolutely terrific.
I agree.
I love her very much. She's a special lady indeed, but I love Paul too. He's awesome. So I'm going to direct this question over to Mary Jo.
Okay.
Now, I have all Apple ecosystem, and I use, like Pages.
Are you just trying to taunt Mary Jo at this point?
He is. He's trolling me now. Let's go. Next, he's going to ask me about some Mac font.
I'm not in enough coffee for that. I'm going to say 3.5 cups easy. So I got another 3 to go now. I mean, it's not just the way that is.
You're lucky. In other words, he's saying it could be worse.
It could be worse.
It could be. I wanted to find out the mobile, the Microsoft Office. Is there a difference between using it on your Mac or iPad or iPhone? And I noticed that they're really charging for every single app for the service moving forward, especially like with Microsoft Excel. Is there a reason for that? Can't you just get like the whole thing for one base price and then move forward? Or this is slightly new territory, but not really. So
I thought it was free to use, but maybe I'm mistaken. You don't use an iPad, so
I don't. But doesn't it also depend in every ecosystem about screen size, whether you pay or not?
Oh,
or
that's
is that
right.
Just a Windows thing.
Oh my God, that's right. There's this weird rule. What was it? Sub 7 inches?
9 inches? 7 inches? I forget. If you have a device with screen size on the diagonal bigger than that number, you have to pay for a subscription. And if you don't, you can use it for free. Yeah, I don't make the rules, guys. I just try to keep up with them.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So you can, I'm trying to remember downloading them. I feel like it was free on the iPad. Now, see, my problem is I have an account. If you have an Office 365 subscription, it's free. Doesn't count against your total installs, but you are paying.
Right?
Yeah, but you are paying.
Right.
So. And you can buy them in the App Store, apparently, Scooter X says.
Individual apps you can.
Yeah.
But Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a special case, I guess. If you need one app and you never are going to use the others.
Well, I think that's not unusual. I mean, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it would be that way, right? Like
Right.
I use PowerPoint once every 3 years.
Exactly.
Right? I never use Excel.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah.
Thank
Well,
you,
I do,
Chris.
but it's bad.
I appreciate it. Chris in Miami. He's only on 3.5 cups. Imagine how he is on the radio show. White Ranger is next. And then we'll wrap this up. Well, we have a couple more, so I'll get as many in as I can. Go ahead, White Ranger. Unmute your mic and ask your question of Paul and Mary Jo Foley. His mic is muted right now. I can see it. There's a little indicator. I'll tell you what, while White Ranger is figuring out his push to talk.
Okay, Leo. Okay, Leo.
Okay, White Ranger. Go ahead.
Leo, I wanted to ask you if I buy an Apple Watch.
Oh, no. You got the wrong show, buddy. You got the wrong show. This is Windows Weekly. We're going to move you back to the audience and say hello. One of the problems I have, of course, is I can't screen these ahead of time. Save the Apple Watch questions for iOS Today or MacBreak Weekly. KingWing27, go ahead. You were on last week. I know you know what you're listening to. What show you're listening to.
My question is, are we going to hear anything about Cloud PC or the Neo?
The Neo? You mean you're thinking at Build?
So I have some answers here. Cloud PC, you're going to hear about this summer. I don't know if you'll hear about it at Build. My guess is you'll hear about it either at some specialized Windows event or maybe even the Microsoft Partner Show in July. But definitely this summer is what I hear. It's in private preview right now with certain select customers. So yeah, it's very close.
So this is the thing that we've been talking about that lets you basically have your Windows in the cloud.
Yeah.
And log into it through a browser? Is that what you use for the client?
It's like Windows Virtual Desktop, right? Except it's going to be charged not by your consumption, but on a flat rate. So it'll be like desktop as a service delivered with Windows apps, Office, and Windows itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be, I think it's going to be pretty interesting how people use that.
In some ways, I think the future of Windows.
Agree. Yep.
Amazon offers this now, by the way, I should point out. You can, in fact, I bet there are other cloud providers that do as well. You can rent, but you're paying by the minute. You can rent a Windows machine. We have that set up for our editors so that if there's a fire, we have to close the studio for any reason, they can still use Premiere and do the editing on Amazon. But it's expensive. So I'd be very interested in a flat rate service. That would be very interesting. Yeah.
Okay, and Surface Neo, that's the dual screen Windows tablet that was supposed to be running Windows 10X that got postponed. Word is you might see that come back in 2022 or later, but right now it's not really a front burner item for Microsoft. I don't know how many of you guys saw this, but Zach Bowden over on Windows Central actually got his hands on a Neo device this week, but it's not working. Like it's just like an empty shell. There's no screens in it. He can't boot it up, but it's this little cute rounded corner tablet that, it's cute. But it doesn't do anything because it's just a prototype.
I'm very interested in that. Yeah.
Yeah.
King Wing, did you buy a Duo, King Wing?
No, I did not, because that is the most overpriced thing I've ever seen.
I bought one.
Today's price in Canada is $1,849.
Well, exactly. Yeah, I spent $1,500.
$19.99. I can buy an iPad and an iPhone for the price of a Duo.
Yeah, it's crazy. I bought it, but I was able to return it. Microsoft had a very generous return policy, so I returned it. And then, foolishly, because of Paul Thurrott, I bought a Fold. The Galaxy Fold.
It seems like a better purchase, though.
I don't know. I don't use it that much. It's not. I blame you, Paul.
It's still better than the Duo.
That's true. It's cool. I'm glad I have it.
That's not a very big success.
High praise. It's better than the Duo. Thank you, King Wing.
Thank you.
Going to wrap this Q&A up. I probably should have prefaced it with, we'll take questions about Windows only on this.
You can't say that, though, with the new Microsoft because their apps
That's a good point. You know, I shouldn't have cut him off because maybe it was an Apple Watch question that had to do with Microsoft. I don't know. They don't have...
Maybe.
I don't think they have much to do with the Apple Watch.
They're not very big on the watch.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Let's take a little break, and then the back of the book. Finally, I've been waiting for it all show long. A little Xbox news coming up. But first, a word from Veeam, which I guess you know a little bit about, Mr. Thurrott.
Mm-hmm.
Veeam is new to me, but I was glad to learn about it. Is the leader in backup solutions that deliver cloud data management through a single platform. This is the modern way to back up, accelerate hybrid cloud, and secure your data with Veeam's solutions. VEEAM, Veeam. Easy to install, easy to run, flexible enough to fit into any environment, and of course, all of Veeam's solutions are always reliable. For instance, the new Veeam Backup and Replication V11 eliminates data loss and ransomware, that's important, while helping you save 20 times on your long-term archive retention costs. Their 4-in-1 solution combines backup, replication, storage snapshots, there's a ransomware solution right there, and now continuous data protection under a single platform, delivering faster and more flexible data protection, as well as recovery and retention options. V11, brand new, unlocks the unprecedented resiliency for any size business, offering over 200 new features and enhancements. I won't go through all 200. I'll have mercy on you, but let me give you a handful here. Continuous data protection. I had to ask what they meant by that. This solves the problem of meeting both internal and external SLAs. And, this can be very expensive. The costs and its complexity often requires personnel training, takes some time to get comfortable with it. Veeam helps eliminate downtime and minimizes data loss for your Tier 1 VMware workloads. With its built-in CDP, you don't have to worry about training. You don't have to worry about proficiency. You're going to achieve immediate recoveries to the latest state or to any desired point in time. CDP. 95% of Veeam customers experience little to no financial impact at all due to ransomware attacks. It stops it in its tracks. Plus, you can ensure backup compliance and safeguard your recoverability with native immutability for your backups. And do you save? Yes, 20 times lower cost for long-term retention with immutability. Large portion requires management across performance, capacity, and archive storage. Veeam offers intelligent data lifecycle management for backup copies, reduce the cost of long-term data archival and retention, and achieve end-to-end backup lifecycle management with Veeam capacity and archive tiers. Veeam-powered BAS and DRAS, 91% of all IT organizations have increased their reliance on cloud services post-pandemic. Veeam partners with a global network of cloud and managed service providers in 180-plus countries to architect, deliver, and optimize BAS and DRAS powered by their cloud-ready data protection capabilities. Oh, did you ask about Azure? Well, I'm glad you did. Azure Backup and Recovery Native, now built into the very same platform you use for virtual and physical data protection in V11. That's good. When you unify backup, recovery, and management of all data into a single common control plane, things just go smoother. You're never in a mystery about what's been backed up. Veeam Backup and Replication eliminates those complexities and breaks down the barrier to rapid cloud adoption. Everybody knows Veeam. 400,000 customers worldwide. Big names: Puma, Deloitte, Welch's. Veeam was named a leader in the 2020 Gartner Magic Quadrant, providing backup that goes beyond legacy platforms to provide reliable backup, monitoring, analytics, automation, and orchestration. So, are you ready to eliminate data loss, to stop ransomware in its tracks? Then you ought to know about Veeam Backup and Replication V11. Brand new with a free unlimited 30-day trial. VEEAM.am/WW. VEEAM.am/WW. Find out why Veeam is simple, flexible, and reliable. Veeam. VEEAM.am/WW. Thank you, Veeam, for supporting Windows Weekly and all of our Windows users listening to the show. And Thank you, if you're listening, for using that special address. That way they know you saw it here. VEE.am/WW. Now, Mr. Paul Thurrott, now's the time for your tip of the week.
Yeah, I didn't really have much in the way of a tip or a pick, so I decided to pull out some stuff that would have been an Xbox and kind of discuss it here. If you have an Xbox Live Gold subscription, like you do.
Like everyone must, of course.
Yeah,
yes.
I mean, most people probably use it for multiplayer online. That's fine. But also, if you have an Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription, which allows you to play across all the PC and console, and now with cloud gaming on mobile as well, you should make sure you're taking advantage of all the perks and the things that you get. And in both cases, one of those things is games with gold. And May is just a couple of days away, so Microsoft has announced, the new games coming for free to those with Xbox Live Gold subscriptions. Looking over this list, I mean, to me, the big one is probably Lego Batman, which is an Xbox 360 title, but you get 4 games
fun.
every month.
I like Tropico. That's an old game. Whoops.
Tropico 4 is probably pretty good as well, if you're into that kind of nation building.
Dungeons. Fun.
Yeah. So just every month, it's something to pay attention to. There are deals every month, of course. And if you're on Game Pass, there are new games every month as well that enter into that subscription. So it's just one of those things you want to kind of keep on top of and take advantage of what you're paying for already. And speaking of what I'm paying for already, Microsoft last week revealed that it was going to start opening up the Xbox Cloud Gaming Beta to people on Windows. And they said iPhone, but it's really iPhone and iPad.
This iPhone seems kind of small to play.
Yeah,
Sea of Thieves on my iPhone.
One of those little handles, but I can't game.
But iPad might be perfect.
These are console games,
right?
Yeah. You need a screen to see this thing. So, in my early testing, I will say,
you got it. You're using it.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm so jealous. What do you think?
There's some advantages and some disadvantages. One of the things that I think is a good idea, but in my experience hasn't been great, is some of the games, and actually I thought it was only a handful, but it might be over 50 of them, support touch controls. So if you're on a phone or a tablet or a Windows convertible / tablet, and you're playing one of those games, the touch controls appear on top of the screen on the sides where you'd be holding it.
Yeah.
So you do the buttons and all that kind of stuff.
That solves the iPad problem, yeah. Although you should have a controller.
Partially. I found it to be a little, I guess, inaccurate is maybe the best term. So if you think about, typically you're going to play slower moving games like this, maybe, adventure type games instead of like action shooter type things. But even in a slow moving game like The Walking Dead, the Telltale series, for example, which I completed years ago, actually on an iPad of all things. Those on-screen touch controls were a little balky, so.
Yeah, a lot of iPad games have this, but I really prefer something that's touch native. This is an attempt to put a controller.
Yes, right. So that's my central recommendation is use a controller. Yeah. And that's a completely different scenario. So with a controller, preferably wired, although on the iPad, I guess technically
there's a Type-C connector on the Pros. You probably could get a controller that would work with that.
Yeah, I haven't tried that on my iPad. I should see if that works.
Yeah.
Anyway, it works pretty well, and there's a nice selection of games now. It's still early. I have no idea what is taking so long. I think with a lot of other people, I sort of feel like this should have come out when they launched the service last fall, but at least it's happening now. So if you've been waiting to play on a Windows PC or like an Apple device, I'll say you should be able to get in pretty soon if you haven't already.
So you request an invite and then they send it along?
I didn't request anything. They just, because I pay for it, they just sent me an email and said, hey, you're in. Yeah.
Because I think, I would, but yeah, you need it. I'm first going to have to solve the controller issue, but it would really be fun because the iPad, especially this new one that's coming out with a mini LED display, is really a nice screen, and 12.9 inches is big enough to play a console game, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Even I have an iPad Air at like a 9. Well, I guess they're 10.2 inches now. Probably the iPads. Big difference off of like an iPhone screen.
Yeah. Oh, because that's the one problem with the iPad. The games are kind of a little bit dopey,
a little cutesy. A lot of
cutesy.
Them.
Yeah.
Yep. So, so now you can play the games you want to play anywhere. It's early. We're getting there. It will. I feel like this is kind of the future. for a lot of people.
Streaming gaming.
Yeah.
Have you tried Stadia? Have you compared it to Stadia?
Yeah. Stadia is definitely better in the latency department. Surprisingly, the one that I like the most from a responsiveness perspective is Amazon Luna. But both of those services, if you use one of their controllers, there's kind of a cloud-based connection that occurs that's very unique.
Something
that Microsoft
that's what
offers.
Stadia does. Yeah,
and it's a neat little feature. But both of those, both of them a little farther ahead, I would say. But I think that's going to change.
How about
that will change
GeForce
over time.
Now? Have you ever used that?
Yeah, I haven't done a lot of. I'm paying for it. I haven't used it a lot. So, and it's cheap, right? I got in before they raised the price, so it's probably $5 a month or something. Yeah, not yet. That's something I'm going to be looking at pretty soon, actually.
I'm really, honestly looking for ways to play Valheim on my.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
You almost need a way to stream it from that computer, not from the cloud.
That'd be better, wouldn't it?
Right. Well, I mean, you might get better performance.
You just basically a remote desktop solution of any kind.
Yeah.
I guess I could do
that. You need OnLive is what you need, is the remember that old service?
Yeah.
To do this kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. Enterprise Pick of the Week. Miss Mary Jo Foley.
So this is a very interesting document that I kind of stumbled on today. The headline of it is called Transitioning to Microsoft Teams Video Conference Room. And it's like a cheat sheet for people who are starting to go back into their office, who've gotten used to using Teams setups in a certain way. And now they're going back into their old conference rooms or some revised conference rooms, and things aren't the same as they've had them set up. So this is a bunch of guidance pulled together into a single document that says, what if you go back to work and you've got a Cisco conference room, or you've got a Zoom conference room, or you've got only one conference speaker on the table? Like, what's the best way to set up if you want to run the perfect Teams meeting? And there's actually real guidance here. Like, here's what you should do. Here's some links of things you could try. Here's some equipment you could add to your conference room.
This is great.
I know. It's super helpful. I'm like, okay, somebody from Microsoft really spent a lot of time pulling this together, and it's got a lot of great workarounds for all kinds of different situations.
And actual product recommendations.
I know.
Non-Microsoft products. That's really interesting.
So the best way to find this is to go to techcommunity.microsoft.com and then just do a search for Teams Video Conference Room, and I think you'll be able to come upon this document that's all pulled together here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Handy, very handy. I was like, wow, this for somebody going back in, and it's been, over a year since most people have been in their offices. You may not even remember what equipment you have in your conference rooms, right? If you go in there and you're like, oh, I got this kind of a
that again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, we're back.
The plant's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plant's
like it says, what
dead.
if you have Cisco? What if you have Blue Jeans? What if you have Polycom? What if you have this or that? And all kinds of good scenarios and suggestions.
I'm going to send this guy an Nareva mic, though, because he doesn't mention Nareva, and it is really a really big improvement, even in a room like this. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh, this is great.
This is great.
So somebody
right?
somebody at Microsoft wrote this.
Yeah, it must have taken them forever because it's a lot of work. You could tell there's a lot of work put into this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really cool. I think, Apple did this, and I bet you Microsoft does it too. They hire journalists now.
Yeah, they do.
People, I mean, this is the kind of thing you'd find on, in a tech blog or something.
Right.
And they hire these journalists, and they say, you know what, we need, people are coming back. We need something that helps them with that. And and these guys go out and do it. I think that's great. That's really good.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's just the enterprise pick of the week. Of course, there's also a code name pick of the week.
There is. I don't know if I've ever made this a codename pick, but it's very timely given that Micah was asking us about Project Cortex and topics. The codename is Alexandria. Project Alexandria is something from Microsoft Research in Cambridge, where it was a project they had about figuring out how to find topics of information among unstructured documents. Project Alexandria became part of Viva Topics. Remember, we were just talking about Viva,
That's
the employee
what he was
portal.
thinking of.
That's what he was thinking of, right?
Yes.
So Viva Topics is the thing that used to be part of Project Cortex at Microsoft. It's all about knowledge management, organizing your work into topic cards and pages and centers so that you can do things like, say, who in my company knows about Cisco routers, right? And you can get some answers. So the way this Alexandria thing fits in, it came about through a very long time ago Microsoft project called Infer.net. Some people may remember that. And then they took that probabilistic programming technology and they kind of built it out into Alexandria, which then became part of Topics. The reason this is in the Codename News today is on the Microsoft Research blog, you can find something I've never seen before, a full in-depth article about what is Alexandria. There's some cool architectural diagrams. There's lots of things about how to turn big data into big knowledge through the Alexandria pipeline. And if you get into this kind of stuff, like how does this actually work? This whole, like, how do we find out what topics are and map them to each other and make use of all this data that's in our organization and make it more useful to people who are trying to figure out where data is and how they can use it? This is your research paper right here.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice. Finally, some beer.
Okay. Lately I've been doing beer picks with lessons learned kind of things, and this is another one of those.
What lessons are you learning from beer?
This is an interesting lesson. So since I've had my second COVID shot and I'm all past the waiting period, I've been going to a lot of breweries to kind of say hi, revisit them. I went out to Evil Twin recently, which is out in Ridgewood, Queens. Kind of hard to get there, long subway ride, but that was fun. They had a beer.
It's practically all the way to JFK.
It almost is out to JFK.
Yeah.
Yep. They had a beer on the menu that sounded intriguing. They called it an Imperial Berliner Weiss. Okay, so Berliner Weiss is usually kind of a lighter beer, just kind of a simple quality, like light drinking kind of thing. And I'm like, oh, an Imperial Berliner Weiss. This ought to be interesting. And it's a fruited Imperial Berliner Weiss. So they bring it to my table, and this thing looked like a fruit smoothie. It was thick. It was loaded with fruit.
Mango, orange, sweet cherry, coconut, cacao, marshmallow, and vanilla bean.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Okay, I'm not going to lie. It was delicious. It was not a beer.
Yeah, it's a fruit beverage.
It was like a fruit smoothie, and it was 7%, so it wasn't super light either, right?
Wow.
But I finished it, and the server said to me, "What did you think?" And I said, "If I wanted a fruit smoothie, it would have been like the perfect thing to drink." But it didn't taste like a beer at all. And the name of this beer, for people who may want to get it or avoid it, is called Evil Twin Stay Home version 3, the Royal Treatment.
No, you missed the most important part. E.T. Stay Home.
Right, because it's Evil Twin, right?
And extraterrestrial. Remember E.T. Phone Home?
Oh, yeah.
E.T. Stay Home.
But this is version 3. They have multiple versions. And the Royal Treatment, that's the souping up the Berliner Weiss. So my lesson learned here is it's fun to try new crazy beer styles, but be ready that it might not taste like a beer.
I want this.
It was very delicious.
It sounds like a smoothie.
Yeah, it tasted and looked, it was thick like a smoothie. I mean, it was like the color of like a dark purple kind of smoothie. It came in a paper cup because we're still doing COVID rules and stuff. And I'm like, okay, I feel like I should drink it with a straw, right? Because it doesn't even look like a beer or smell or taste like one.
They have, it really looks like a smoothie.
It's crazy looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was good, but not
what
I was
thinking in it? Were there like little
Yeah,
fruit
there were
seeds
chunks
and
of fruit in there.
What?
Yes, there were. Yes, there were. Yeah.
I'm going to have to come out to Queens. Next time I'm at JFK, I'm going to stop by on the way into town.
Evil Twin. Anybody who comes to New York who lives here, their tap room is so beautiful. It looks like a spectacular work of art.
I can order
awesome.
this. I'm going to order it.
Yeah, you could get a 4-pack.
Yeah. Not available in New York State, Pennsylvania, New Hampshire, Washington, D.C.
But you could order it.
We are not able to. We aren't able to ship crowlers, bottles, and cocktails. Okay, but I could order this. I can order it. What else should I get as long as I'm at the Evil Twin store?
So they have so many good beers at Evil Twin.
You've recommended them often, yeah.
I know. They have a lot of crazy, weird styles. So the other one I had when I was there was called the Marshmallow Cream Pie.
Okay.
Listen to this. They took marshmallow cream pies from the bakery on their block and they put them in the beer when they were making it, and they boiled it with these marshmallow cream pies in the beer, and then they made a stout. I'm not making this up.
So this is not a health drink per se.
None of these would be very
no. It was like it was a delicious stout. You could taste the oats. You could taste the bitterness even. So it wasn't overly sweet, but it was interesting.
Sounds good. So as long as I'm ordering beer from them, I might as well get some glassware. Would you put that in a Pilsner glass, or that would be all right for
They
that?
have so many cool glasses.
They do.
Right?
Look at these. Yeah.
Get that thing on the bottom.
They have sweatshirts. They have T-shirts. They have hats.
Northern Mini Teku. Wow.
Tekus are always good. Teku is good because you can drink any style of beer out of it, and it works.
But they look awfully small.
They have the half size, some Tekus are half size and some are full size.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're out of stock. This is a 6.5 ouncer, so it's for a little.
Oh yeah, that's a little one.
It's like next to a tiny.
They're like little baby ones.
Little baby.
Those are for
Probably
taste.
all the beer I should be drinking, actually. So maybe I'll
Especially if you're drinking a smoothie or a marshmallow cream pie stout.
What would be a general? I think the Pilsner looks like a general.
The Pilsner glass is nice. It's like all-purpose.
All-purpose.
Right?
Also out of stock. Well.
Oh
well.
Everyone's drinking at home, so they're ordering all the glasses.
Drinking
right?
at home. Wait a minute. Yeah. Show title.
As recommended.
Well, poor Paul Thurrott learned the lesson about going out and enjoying after you get the shot is you still can get other stuff. I'm sorry, Paul, but you're a yeoman. You came in, you did your job, you came to work, and I could tell you're suffering. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I guess I could have done something about this before it happened, but
no, that's fine. I'm just
I feel invulnerable now because COVID and whatnot. But what are you going to do?
What are you going to do? Oh man, that stinks. I hope you feel better. You will by next week, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And actually, it's a good cautionary tale. Mary Jo went out, found beer. You went out and found a cold. I'm just going to stay home. I think. Yeah. Everybody's drinking at home.
I found sushi too. I did stuff.
Oh man. Today's my day, right? Today's the day I'm at the most protected I'll be for the rest of my of the year.
I think you should
I kiss somebody.
Take
I'm
advantage
gonna go kiss somebody.
I would be careful about that, depending on
I'll probably just stick with my wife. If you enjoyed this show, please tip your waiters and come back again next week. Paul Thurrott is at Thurrott.com. His books are at leanpub.com, The Field Guide to Windows 10 chiefly. Mary Jo Foley writes for ZDNet at allaboutmicrosoft.com. And we gather together every Wednesday around about 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. That would be 1800 UTC. You can watch live streams in a variety of places. Twit.tv/live has audio and video. That's probably the best way to do it. If you're watching live, chat with us live in our chat room, irc.twit.tv. Club Twit members can listen in the stage and chat with us and ask questions via the stage in our Discord. If you're not yet a Club Twit member, please, we invite you to join. It's really fun, and I think it's well worth the $7. About the same as a Pilsner goblet. Actually, a little less. Just go to twit.tv/clubtwit. On-demand versions of our shows are available at twit.tv/WW. While you're there, you'll see there's links to the YouTube channel. There's a YouTube channel with all of the videos from our shows. There's also links to various podcast applications. Clicking those makes it easy to add, but you can also add it from that page to any podcast application using the RSS URL. Once you're subscribed, you should get it automatically the minute it's available if you turn on automatic downloading. And if your podcast platform supports reviews, please give us a review. 5 stars would be nice. We appreciate it. People who will listen on demand might want to chat with us on demand as well at our forums. That's www.twit.community. Great forums, still going strong. That's the free tier. We also have a Mastodon instance, which is at about 100,000 times better than Twitter. That's twit.social. And the Discord for club members is also a great place to hang out. I hang out in all of them. And actually, that's probably because of quarantine, but now I'm thinking maybe I'm happier there anyway. I don't want to catch a cold. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see you next week on Windows Weekly. Bye-bye.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I am Ant Pruitt, and I want to tell you about my show, Hands on Photography, here on Twit TV. Each and every week, Thursday that is, I like to sit down and share with you the best tips and tricks that are going to help make you a better photographer. And it's not always about Photoshop. It's not always about just having the biggest and baddest and bestest camera. It can be the simplest of things like leave your eye open when you're looking through the viewfinder. All of these simple tips can really help step your photography game up. So subscribe to the show today. That's twit.tv/hop. And I look forward to talking to you soon.